GoHarvest. Get the most out of your S-Series combine today. Before beginning any procedure, follow safety instructions. Understand all safety decals according to the operator manual, and always wear seat belts. This information is intended to help you understand how the yield monitoring system works on an S-Series combine. Included are basic inspections and troubleshooting of the yield monitoring system on John Deere S-Series combines. For the combine to accurately calculate yield, the system relies on proper calibrations and well-maintained components located throughout the machine. The process starts with clean grain being conveyed up the clean grain elevator by a paddle chain. The paddle chain delivers a small volume of grain to the moisture sensor. The moisture sensor housing mounts on the side of the clean grain elevator. The grain falls into the sensor off of the paddles on the upside of the elevator. The grain fills the sensor chamber past the moisture sensor. A moisture reading is taken and the grain is then augered into the return side of the elevator. Second, the grain is then delivered to the top of the elevator. The force of the grain coming off the paddle chain is measured by the impact plate on the mass flow sensor. The volume of the grain moving through the clean grain elevator is measured by the amount of force the grain applies as it contacts the sensor impact plate. The mass flow vibration calibration and component inspections are critical to ensure that the system performs correctly and accurately. Make sure to inspect the clean grain elevator chain, conveyor chain paddles, paddle tip clearance within the clean grain elevator housing, clean grain elevator speed sensor, elevator mass flow sensor, the moisture sensor, and all the harnesses and connectors. When inspecting the clean grain elevator, check for cracked or broken chain link components along with the paddle tip clearance at the top of the clean grain elevator. Be sure that all rubber paddles are intact and have not come loose or are missing. Measure the distance from the tip of the paddle to the elevator housing on every paddle. Always measure at the same location for each paddle. If the distance between the paddle and the housing is consistently more than 13 millimeters or half an inch on multiple paddles, contact your dealer for the appropriate solution. These worn or frayed paddles can affect the yield accuracy performance. Check the chain tension weekly. A chain running too loose will not allow an accurate amount of grain to contact the mass flow sensor. If the speeds are low, intermittent, or zero, check the clean grain elevator shaft speed sensor on the left-hand side of the combine and the bearings on the auger shaft. Visually inspect and clean around the mass flow sensor and impact plate. Replace the impact plate if it shows significant signs of wear. Clean the sensor seasonally or as necessary, especially if moisture readings are erratic. In order to clean the moisture sensor, remove the housing wing nut and remove the sensor assembly from the housing. Clean the sensor plate with glass cleaner or a damp cloth. The mass flow vibration calibration is one of the most important steps that needs to be taken to ensure an accurate yield measurement. This calibration sets a baseline for the sensor to analyze the amount of force the grain applies to the impact plate at the top of the clean grain elevator and eliminates any force or vibration created by the machine itself. The calibration should be performed when software has been updated and every time the header is removed or installed, especially after road transporting. For both 2630 and 4600 displays, go into Calibrations and select the Mass Flow Vibration Calibration. The machine must be empty and in park, the appropriate header attached, separator and header engaged, and the engine running at high idle. Once all the requirements have been met, press the Next button and the calibration will begin. The calibration takes 60 seconds or less to complete. Once the calibration has been completed, save the calibration by selecting the button at the bottom right corner of the screen. For more information on inspections and maintenance, see the Yield Accuracy Ready to Harvest Guide within the GoHarvest app or visit johndeere.com. For the best accuracy and consistency, always perform a yield calibration once per crop at the beginning of each season. Multi-point yield calibration provides the best performance when the harvested field is expected to have varying yields, or if the machine is operating at varying speeds with varying grain flows. Verify with your John Deere dealer that the combine's moisture sensor has the latest AYM software installed. This software version improves the yield accuracy with only 2 mass flow calibration loads in most conditions. Start by performing a mass flow sensor vibration calibration. Then, calibrate the mass flow sensor harvesting at normal ground speed. Add a second mass flow sensor calibration load harvesting at half the ground speed of the first calibration load. For example, harvest an initial grain tank full calibration load at 5 miles per hour. Then harvest the second grain tank full calibration load at 2.5 miles per hour. If better performance is required, add additional mass flow sensor calibration loads between the previous calibration runs of half and normal speed. After the mass flow sensor is calibrated, calibrate the moisture sensor temperature and adjust the moisture sensor correction. This video is intended to be a quick reference for yield accuracy components on the S-Series combines. For further information on inspections, maintenance, and more detailed instructions, please consult the operator's manual, the Yield Accuracy Quick Reference Guide available online at johndeere.com, within the GoHarvest app, or contact your John Deere dealer.